Hello, my name is Winfrey Daniel Kolo and this is Pageant Academy, right? Right here on this platform, what we do is talk about everything about pageantry, modeling, and everything you need as a woman to own it in your own space. And again, we actually drop different contents that could also be beneficial to our male folk. So if you know any of them, like this video, for instance, on confidence, so definitely tell them to join in here, right? Last week, I actually started a series on confidence, and then again, I didn't want to make the video too long because I've actually gotten feedback that I should reduce the length, so I decided to go half the time. So now this particular one is a continuation of that one, so do make sure you watch it and then enjoy it, and do let me know what you think in the comment section. The story continues after the break. But then again, just for a quick recap, I was talking about confidence and how a lot of we girls in this time and age need to actually own it, know ourselves, identify ourselves, and then be confident, know what we stand for, and not be shy to stand for it at every time it is necessary that we stand for it. Okay, one simple way of knowing ourselves is taking quizzes online, reading books like Why People Act the Way They Do, reading the Bible. I mean, the Bible for me is my absolute confidence booster. I have confidence and then I have Godfidence. That is the reassurance that, see, no matter what literally happens to me or to the world at large, I know God has got me. God literally has the world in his hands, and because of that singular reason, he has me too. So no matter what happens or what is happening, yes, I will get scared, or when I actually don't even feel so confident, I can easily run to my place of prayer and draw some strength from there. Let me not bore you with all that talk, okay? After the break, we'll be going right into the second reason why I decided to release the confidence series and talk more about confidence. I'll be right back. Story I would like to share is an interview I had not too long ago. This one was literally like after the interview, I had literally already before the interview rather, I had decided I was going to talk on confidence, right? And then after the interview, I was just too sure that, see, with Daniel Kolo, you have to have this conversation because it's very, very important. So this is what happened at the interview. The interview happened not too long ago. So someone I had worked with a while back on a project actually called me that, okay, fine, they're trying to start up a company, they need people in leadership positions, and then he thought about me because of how efficient I was the last time we worked together, right? And I'm like, oh, okay, fine, would I be free for a meeting? I'm like, okay, fine, we pick a date, we pick the time, pick the location. And then I go and I see him, we talk about the idea of the work for a bit. Then he takes me to where his other partners are, and then we sit down, start to have a conversation. I had my face mask on, which I believe is the right thing to do, right? I mean, you're going to a place, whether you're with people for the first time, or as long as you're not people that you live with, or you know their whereabouts and their history and all of that, please keep your face mask on. Whether you're maintaining social distances of 2 meters, 6 feet, or whatever, right? It's not on its own. It's not wear your face mask or maintain social distancing. No, it is wear your face mask and maintain social distancing, except you have been vaccinated. And even as at that, make sure you still keep your face mask on, because you don't know, you need to literally help other people. Okay, so now this is what happened. I had my face mask on, I go into the room, I greet everybody, I sit down, people come in and all of that, sit down, and then the meeting / interview starts. And the guy just kept on going on about, your face mask and all of that, you still have it on. And you know, are you so scared about the virus? Are you this, are you that, are you that? I'm like, no, I mean, it's the right thing to do. I'm meeting you for the first time. Yeah, it's not a matter of fear, right? So he tried to make it seem as if, okay, fine, I was leaving my face mask on because I was afraid. And I'm like, no, it's not about fear. It's actually about what is right and what I believe is right. I was like, okay, you're making me uncomfortable. Are you trying to say I have the virus? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, what I'm doing right now has nothing to do with you. Do you understand? Has nothing to do with you. And like this is all me. This is all, and probably a lot of people at that position will probably have said, oh, okay, fine, he's the boss, this is what he wants and everything, then take off your face mask. But then again, what does that tell of you? What does that tell of your belief? What does that tell of what you understand? You're making someone comfortable. You're doing the right thing. And it's a health situation. It's not like when you're making someone comfortable in a negative way. No, I'm not all for that. But like you're in your right, you're doing the right thing. You're not hurting anybody. Somebody else feels uncomfortable because you have decided to keep yourself protected and protect people around you. Now, that is not something to coward on. All right, so the interview goes on, and then he's still emphasizing and talking about the face mask, and he turns it into, you know what, like he obviously wasn't getting his way with me. He wasn't getting me to take off the face mask, so he just goes on talking about how, oh no, he's noticed that I'm belligerent, and then in fact this is not even an interview anymore. That is now seeming like a debate. And because, I mean, you're telling me stuff, you're asking me questions, I'm honestly just responding to you. I wasn't being rude. I honestly was just being myself. He also was talking about the way I was positioned and how I was sitting and how I seemed guarded and how I seemed defensive in my stance and in my sitting position. And he was just going on. He was literally bashing on all sides. At the point, I honestly lost my cool. But for some weird reason, something just said, you know what, just calm down and just see this through. And I'm like, okay. So I tried to laugh and to ease off the tension and all of that. As I said, remember, smiling is always a killer, right? But then again, this person he now went on, you imagine you're laughing. So he said certain things, I'm like, oh, okay. And it's like, okay, imagine you're saying, okay, that means you're not even, either you don't agree with what I'm saying, or you don't even care about what I'm saying. And I'm like, definitely not. And then at the point is like, you know what, please, who are we interviewing next, and all of that, please, and all of that. She still won't take off her mask and everything. And the truth is that I did think about it. I will not even lie. I won't say I was absolutely confident I knew I wasn't taking it off. No, at a point it did cross my mind severally. Okay, should I actually take it off? I mean, he's the boss, right? So it should probably be what he says. But something just in me was just like, no, you're not doing anything wrong. So you don't need to bow or to chicken out and do what they want you to say because he wants it and because he wants to be comfortable. So I actually held my ground and decided to keep my mask on. And I wasn't being rude. I was honestly just being there at the interview. I didn't know it was an actual interview. And then all of that was being thrown at me. He called me belligerent. He called me defensive and all of that. He even spoke about my previous employment, and probably that's why I didn't work there for so long. He said a lot of things that when I was relaying the whole story to my sister, she literally, I'm sure she'll watch this video. Love you, Press Praise. She was like, oh, wow, you sat there. How come you didn't work out? And I'm like, I just stayed and just tried to maintain my cool. And then the other guy was oh yeah, I don't know if he was laughing because what was funny to him, or he was laughing out of tension or whatever, I don't know. But then again, that's the boss, now asked the person that brought me in that, oh, okay, you've worked with her. I mean, what was it like working with her? Because the way she seems like she's going to be difficult to work with since we can't get her to do what we want to do her to do, this and everything. And he's like, oh, like I literally called her on short notice the last time I worked with her, and she came on time, she was efficient. And then he was like, oh, fine, was she efficient and all of that? I mean, she was efficient, but was she effective? He was like, yes, she was efficient, she was effective. The guy was just blowing grammar left, right, center. And I'm like, I was just there looking wide-eyed, smiling, and just honestly, for a weird reason, I got to a point, after I got through a part where I was really tensed, I actually got to a part where I absolutely calmed down. I was so comfortable. And of course, under my breath, I was pleading the blood of Jesus and asking the Holy Spirit to take control. So yeah. And then he was like, oh, you know what? Okay, they now eventually gave me 2 minutes to talk about why I want the job and all of that. And then I did do that. He interrupted me severally, but I made sure, well, luckily for me, there was someone there who actually was like, okay, they should give me the floor to talk and actually deliver my 2 minutes and all of that. So the boss didn't seem interested in the delivery of 2 minutes anymore, and he was literally about saying, okay, you know what, please, next person and everything. But the other guy there was like, okay, no, let her talk and all of that. So then I spoke. Another thing is, know your onions. If it's onions you want to call it, please know it. Why? Because if you go and you're forming, oh, my right, my position, so they now tell you, oh yeah, talk about what you're being interviewed for, or talk about what what we're here for, and then you don't know anything to say. That's literally, you're just going to, like, do you understand? The capital letter full on your forehead would just be too visible for everyone to see. So no matter what you're doing, while you're knowing who you are, with whatever field you find yourself, be it pageantry, media, law, banking, finance, marketing, whatever, you're going for an interview, make sure you know your stuff and go there and plan to deliver. So when you're being confident about yourself, they won't, do you understand? You will not flop. So I delivered, and the truth is, even as I was speaking, man, me myself, I was like, sister, where did this word come from? Do you get? Like, it was a proud moment for me because the whole room was quiet. Eventually, the boss actually now put on his mask, and at that point, I knew I had broken through. I knew I didn't give up. I held my ground, and now I had influenced someone to actually wear his mask. And before I left that room, he actually said, imagine, just look at me now. I'm actually wearing my mask because of you, and all of that. And then I smiled. And then the man beside me was like, oh, well, she seems, I'll give it to her for her confidence. That was something I took away. He actually said, oh, wow, I'll give it to her for being confident. And then, of course, the boss was like, is she being confident or she's being cocky? Because, you know, there's a thin line between being confident and cocky. And I'm like, and the other guy asked me, okay, are you being confident or cocky? And I'm like, he was like, okay, are you being cocky? I'm like, no, right now I'm not. And then, of course, it was a laugh and all of that. And then it was time to go. And then I stood up. Honestly, by the time I was leaving that room, I didn't know. I just felt, you know what, if this thing goes like this, I guess this is it. Nothing is happening here. I mean, please go on and continue doing what you're doing. Do you get? Because, of course, the way it went, it didn't seem like I had any favors. I had a few favors, but of course not from the person that the favor needed to come from and all of that. So by the time I got to the door of the office, I literally took off my mask. I said, goodbye, sir. I smiled and wore it back on. And he was like, oh, wow, you finally took it off, right? What was that for? I was trying to make a statement, which I probably believe I absolutely did. By the time I got out, guess what? That evening, I got a text from the boss telling me he'll give me a call the next day. The next day, by midday, I got a call from him. What did he say? He literally said that he was absolutely impressed with my performance the day before. I don't know if it's God or that was honestly what it was. Because I honestly couldn't see past the fact that, okay, this person is like this, and the kind of person I am, probably we're going to clash. We clashed, and that is it, right? But he told me that that is actually what he needed, and that is what he was actually looking for. He was looking for someone in a leadership position, and then I came out bringing all of that, and then it showed that I had my ground. I couldn't be bullied into doing what other people needed to do and all of that, because I'll be working with people, and then that is exactly what he needed, and that is what he was going for. He was not offended at all. So all that one he was saying was actually just talk, and he literally offered me the job. And I'm like, after the conversation, I'm like, okay, see how God works. Do you understand? Just imagine I went there, and when he was like, oh, this, blah, blah, blah. And then I was crumbling, and I was because I know I needed the job so bad. And then I took off the mask, and then this one now. See, then he'll be like, okay, no. And then you'll be wondering, I did everything right now. Why? Do you get? So you need to know yourself and stand and defend yourself in the right thing. All right? And then now know who you are. And after the interview, I'm like, see, I have to do this talk. A lot of girls are out there, they don't know. We all are hustling. We all want to make it big. We all will do whatever it takes to do it right. But then again, we should know the extent to which we do that. A lot of times, I'll say this in closing, right? The things that happen behind the scenes in the pageant industry, and the modeling industry, and in the movie industry, and all of these offices where several things happen, where men take advantage of ladies, is because the ladies put themselves in that position. Don't get me wrong, the men are perverse and absolutely wrong for doing that. But then again, just imagine there was a woman that wasn't willing to sleep with her boss or do anything she has no business doing to get to a position. Just imagine that we as girls, every time we're actually faced with with that option, we turn it down. Just imagine that happens on a regular. The men will know that, okay, you know what, this is no longer an option, so we won't try going through this route anymore. Yes, will you lose the job? You might. It might not be as lucky. This is not the first time I'm going and standing my ground and standing for what I believe in, and I'm losing the job. This is not the first time. I've had times where people tell me, okay, because I decide to not probably do a bikini shoot, or because I decide not to dress a certain way or do a certain thing, I don't get certain roles and I don't get to do certain things and all of that, because I decide not to familiarize myself in a certain way with certain people, I don't get certain roles. I have turned a lot of that down. Earlier in my modeling industry, I didn't used to take modeling jobs on Sundays at a particular time, from a particular time, because I would have to go to church, and that was a must, and then any other thing that come after that. I also didn't used to go for jobs sometimes that had to do with bikini and excess exposure and all that kind of stuff and all of that. And I did lose jobs, a lot of jobs, because of that. But then again, it got to a point I started to be respected because of those decisions, because every other person will do that, but then I stood my ground and I knew what I wanted, and I didn't compromise because of anything. So no, it might not be this situation for you, right? It might not be this situation for you, and it might be something absolutely different. You might be cool with doing bikini shots, you might be cool with doing nudes. That's up to you. Just know why and identify that this is my thing. I want to do it. Have a reason why you're doing it. Know you're comfortable with it. Don't do it because people are doing it. Do it because it is what you want to do. And then you'll get respected for staying in that part and doing it through. Yeah, so no, I think the first step of being a confident woman or a confident person is knowing yourself. Man, know thyself. So at this point, I will stop. And in my next video, I will be telling us and sharing with us ways to identify a confident person, and subsequently how to boost your confidence. Thank you so much for watching to this very point. I hope it wasn't too lengthy. If you have any questions whatsoever, please feel free to drop it in the comment section. Please like, please subscribe now, please thumbs up, and please share this video. You don't know who you might be helping. A lot of people need these things out there, so please share it, and do follow us on social media at pageantacademyng on Instagram, at pageantacademyng on Twitter. Feel free to follow my personal page. Send me a DM if you will, at Winfrey Daniel Okolo on Instagram. Thank you so much, and until next time, I'll see you. Bye-bye.